It's a weird one. I wouldn't want to have those colors myself. It was like when Mike Tremmel it's like our sophomore year chose white for like our high school uniform. I was like, oh, and they were all like patting themselves on the back, so excited about it, and I was like, oh, that was the worst choice.
All white is terrible. All right, so
a few times it would get wet or rain, you see right through it too.
Oh yeah, you see everything, all the junk and everything too. Yeah. So, all right, thank you everyone for joining. It is officially that time, and it is St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2022. So, Brandon, welcome to the show. I'm sure we'll have some people jump on later. How have you been enjoying your St. Patty's Day so far? Any Guinness in your future or in your past? Or are you trying to still recover from a newborn baby? Which congratulations, by the way, to you and the family.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fantastic. Getting used to it. Yeah, no St. Patrick's Day activities per se. Not in the Irish sense, but yeah, I definitely have myself a little something here. So cheers here,
All right, cheers. There we go. Yeah, I'll probably wait until after the show to pop my Guinness, and I got a couple of neighbors who will want to meet up later in the evening. So we'll see if I stop by in for a little Irish car bomb.
Oh, nice. Your new friends.
Oh yeah. No new friends, right?
We're not that far away,
I know. You can stop by for sure.
I still have 14 weeks off, 14 weeks in a day off. I'm not. Nobody's counting. I mean, I'm not counting anything like that. But yeah, it feels great.
Do you know how many hours do you have left? Like
no, but that's just monkey math. But no, it feels good. For the last like 9 days, I've kind of woke up, checked my work email for like an hour, and I can get used to this life. I'm like, but my wife is not going to have another kid just so I can take 3 months off of work.
Well,
it's a PTO.
Yeah, we'll see if I'm afforded that luxury in the future. We'll see. That's still a possibility. Yeah, but
did you set an agenda for tonight? I didn't even.
I did. So, yeah. Well, it was congratulating you on your baby, and we were actually talking about kids' birthdays, right? So you just had your new young daughter, your third child, and I'm sure it was wonderful and great, and it's been wonderful at home. But I just celebrated my son's 5th birthday, which is why we took kind of a little hiatus from the show, and needed to, take a little break to handle these things. And kids' birthdays kids' birthdays are.
You took a little break to Legoland.
I didn't take a break, essentially.
Yeah. So when did the break start? So what are you referring to right now? I'm lost.
The break was referring to me missing the show for 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, the show was canceled due to a last-minute situation with my son in a lesson in gravity. And then last week, had to take the week off the show because we drove down to San Diego, did the Legoland thing. Legoland Hotel is a nightmare. It is a nightmare for any parent who thinks it's great.
You're going to hate me. I only have one question, and it's killing me because I know it's the worst question to start with, but if you know who I am, what do you think that question is?
How much did it cost?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I was going to say, how badly did you want to shoot yourself in the face? But I have a follow-up. How much did it cost? Like, what was the all-in door to door for the weekend, the camping, the Legoland tickets, the food? Can you rough it out for me? I'm sorry for asking. I know it's personal, but I just love like knowing that stuff.
No, it's a good breakdown, right? For people who are thinking about doing that. So we're a family of 3. Yeah. Luckily, the camping was free. My mother had the campsite. So we actually had.
So it's not free.
No, it's not free. There we go. I had to pay with my soul. That's right. My soul and my dignity and my everything in between. So while I didn't drop financial backing there, I dropped a lot of my time and mental state to be in that position. But the Legoland piece of it, so we're talking for the 3 tickets for the theme park, $250. Okay. We're talking for the hotel, $350 a night. So we're already over.
Dang.
Yeah, we're already at the $600 mark, right?
Sleep in like a space shuttle or an international space station, or
we had the pirate experience. We had a pirate ship, and there was a.
So did you get looted?
Situation. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I got looted. All right, they stole the booty, most definitely. And I didn't even get to steal my own booty, which was terrible. So it was just a really, really terrible experience. I
No, it
would not.
wasn't. It wasn't
I
terrible.
No,
Stop it.
Legoland was actually really fun. I enjoyed Legoland and watching
So
my
the hotel
son
was actually
smile.
terrible? Are you
It,
leading into something?
yes, the hotel experience for an adult,
Oh.
mind you, for a child, this
Oh.
is like
I
for a
figured it would be
child.
gimmicky, but you still like you're like, okay, it's at least clean, but is it
It's
really?
clean. It's clean, and the bartenders are very, very understanding of what's going on there. I do appreciate Arturo, my bartender. He understood exactly what I was going through.
Kudos to Arturo. Send him some Dogecoin.
Yeah. I needed to tip him more because he knew exactly. I wanted him to that bar. He didn't ask me what kind of drink I wanted. He asked the first question he asked is, "Do you want a double or a triple?"
And I was about to follow up on that, but I was kind of leaving you alone, knowing that you don't want me poking when you're at your worst. So I was like, I'll save these, but I did want to know because I thought you couldn't pour a triple actually in California. So I was happy to hear that they do that.
Yeah. These guys were, they're laid back dudes. They understand what's going on
Yeah.
there. You have to just imagine yourself in like one of these indoor playgrounds with 150 kids,
no.
bricks everywhere,
No.
chaos ensuing. It's just, I sent you a little glimpse, and that was all you needed. It was just
Yeah, we
atrocious.
superimpose our family into it so we can tell our kids later when they won't remember that we went. It's perfect.
Perfect. There you go. But Legoland was great, fun. Next day SeaWorld. I mean, the problem is when I do something, I typically go over the top.
Yeah, you got to do it all.
I'm kind of one of the people that come to cram it all in. I've been that way when I travel.
No,
I've
that's
been that
just
way in
smart.
life.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take a second trip to do this.
And you don't want to go all the way down there and then get cheap. And you're like, well, wait a second. We just like some people have to fly here, and you're gonna like go cheap on your meals. Like you might as well go, take it up a notch.
So considering the Legoland tickets, the hotel, the SeaWorld tickets, and food all in, we're close to a G on the weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
That's about it.
That's actually pretty planning of you. I mean, to me, yeah. So with five, it's like,
yeah. But that was nice to do the camping to stay in the RV and then renting a boat, and that was nice. My mom rented the boat for
that's cool.
Nolan, and yeah, so I was.
So what was the boat? Did you include the boat? Well, no, you didn't because that was her. But what's the boat per hour, or is it you get it for the whole day? What is that? Do you know?
200 per hour. Yeah, 199 per hour.
So 199 per hour. Okay, and then you also pay for gas, I assume.
Yeah,
gas at the dock was what, $10 or?
Surcharge of $20 right now because of fuel prices. Obviously, how things are going. So they even had this big banner right there on the boat check. 20% surcharge on fuel right now. So I'm like, all right. So
what did it come to then? Because I know those things are huge.
It came out to like $225 for the hour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the way to do it, is rent it by the hour and then change boats the next day if you want to do it, or do like a jet ski or a wave runners or whatever. If you're in a location that does that, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Give the boat back.
Give the boat back, and the wife.
I would beach it. Did you beach it for me? Here's your boat.
I did not beach it, and the guy was very thankful of me to do that because I guess someone had done it the day before to him, and he was furious about it. So yeah, he was like, "Thank you for pulling up to the dock and
for not beaching my boat."
Yeah, and just cruising into the dock so I could stop you instead of people keeping the throttle on and as they're going into.
How about backing it in?
Oh yeah, people are funny, man. But no, it was a great weekend. It was fun, but it was nice to get back to work and back to being around adults. It was great. But kids' birthdays, man. What are you gonna do? And it was interesting because I gave my son an option. I said, "Do you want a birthday party or do you want to go to Legoland and go away?" And he chose
smart
go
and
away.
Selfish young man. Smart.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this little brat. Like he knew exactly what he wanted. We even went to a birthday party a week before his birthday, and I still asked him after the birthday party. He had a lot of fun there, the bounce house, everything, playing with the kids. I was like, "Do you want a birthday party or do you want Legoland?" He's like, "I want Legoland." So he knew exactly what he was getting into. Pretty smart of him. I'll give him that. So yeah, but he better.
And it'd be nice if you asked him why, and he said just to make you suffer more. I would have been like, he's doing well.
Yeah. Not too bad. But the weekend's over. We're back at it, and now
are you guys in soccer right now too?
Soccer season just started, so we have our first game coming this weekend. I know, and I know you had a wonderful experience in the fall with your child and your
I
team.
still am having like heart palpitations thinking if I have to commit to this every year, because then I'm thinking then I got to do it for the girls too, and I'm like, uh-oh, like this could be a problem, I will, but I don't know. Maybe I could sleep on it for another season. I couldn't do spring ball. I needed like to put a year's worth of count. I want the kids to like feel the importance of, get some more experience under their belt. So is it better this round now or this season because you've had a couple under your belt with him and his friends?
So what's great about the league I have my son in is it's not AYSO, which forces you to always mix up the teams every single season. I get to keep the
Oh,
exact same players on my
oh, I
roster.
didn't know that. Oh,
Yes. So that was the reason I joined this league, because I had my team and all I did was swap out a couple new players, but I had the majority core from my fall team. Now it's like night and day. The boys know exactly what the expectations are.
oh, they're
They
going to
come to
dominate.
practice. Yes. I mean, two of the players already are way beyond what we exceeded even at the end of last season. So it's a really
So
nice feature.
it's worth keeping them together. And when you did your horse trading, obviously you're dropping the ones that are terrible and bad attitudes, right? Or
yeah, or the parents don't get along with us, or
yeah.
things of that nature, right? So yeah, it's all about that. And but even that was like one of the kids. I didn't want to let him go. He aged out of where I still was, so he had to go to the higher bracket just because of where his birthday landed. So that was kind of
our team was so good last year. I'm thinking about just shuffling the entire deck again and just starting fresh, and it will be just as fulfilling, I'm sure. And if they find me and they watch this, I don't mean any disrespect, but yeah, let's just mix it back in. Let's see what else we get. Let's, five card draw. I'll take 5 new ones.
5 new ones.
I had a pair. I'm sure I can beat a pair. Let's go after a pair. I had a pair last time, a low pair.
Yeah, and that's the problem with a lot of these rec leagues. Right? These parents are.
But I noticed other coaches had kids that they stacked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I've stacked most of my team, and it's going to be a very different scenario this time around, because even practice, my assistant coach, who was my assistant coach last season, he even said, "Oh, this feels a lot different now. Like, we're not wrangling as many cats in anymore." I'm like, "That's right.
You're taking it up a notch.
Taking it up a notch, and we're doing a little bit more, higher quality drills. There's less repetitive conversations that you have to have. That's the killer, right? Is the amount of times you have to call a name out. Hey, kid, because they're picking daisies or something, and that pretty much comes to a screeching halt once you've had them for a couple seasons. So cool. I'm looking forward to this. Okay. I'm looking forward to this season, and even my own son I've seen a big jump from when he was 4 to when he's 5 now too. So big difference. It's mentally, right? Because
5 was a nightmare for us, but it seems that having a round 2 on a 5 may have improved 50% or whatever, because it was just we couldn't even get to past basics. I mean, it wasn't even a conversation yet, and I want to get to the conversation part. I want to get about the the secrets of it. You basically should never have the ball at your feet because you should be passing and attack the ball, and sportsmanship. But they were wrestling. By the time I said hello, they're wrestling, and we were back to like, clap your hands if you can hear me, and we were clapping basically the entire practice. I'm like, okay, guys, time to run. So I just ran them and wore them down, and the parents were like, that's when they started clapping. They're like, yes, wear them down for us. I'm like, well, we're trying to play soccer,
Yeah, it's very interesting coaching young boys, But you see, what's great is from 5 to 6 and even to 7-year-old, it immediately clicks, and then you have less of a ramp up time, because then the boys get very competitive very quickly, which is nice. So, you don't have to wait too long for that. Which is
I'll need to talk to you about drills, because I watched some YouTube, which was helpful, but clearly, when the kids are not figuring out the fun of the drill, you need to adjust quickly. And some of mine, I'm like, dang it took me like 2 minutes to set this thing up. I don't really want to like just go, okay, free for all, play soccer, because that's all they really wanted to do was try to score on me all the time. Right. And I realized towards the end of the practice, towards the end of the season, I'm like, all right, guys, everybody grab a ball and try to score on me. And I'm just, playing pinball, and that's what seemed to be their favorite thing in the world. So I was like, I give up,
Yeah, it definitely is a challenge, and it's just really about having creativity, at that age, and keeping them engaged it's the most difficult part out of everything. I don't care what coaches tell you.
And they're lazy. Some of them couldn't even run. I was like, how do we have kids at 5 that can't run around the field? I was like confused.
they're weird. They're weird like that. Kids are strange creatures, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. They say crazy things and they do crazy things. But that was the weekend, and soccer season's back, and so I'll give a full breakdown of how the season goes week by week. We'll see. I'm excited though. We have a much more well balanced team this year. So I have one kid who's spectacular. Like he is eons above the rest right now.
Ruins it for everybody at the game.
And that's the problem.
Got to pull him back.
I faced a lot of kids like that last season in the fall.
Yeah, so did we. Like every game, I'm like, are you guys gonna? He scored 3. It's been 2 minutes.
Right?
Like, thanks a lot.
That's exactly.
And now he's celebrating. He's walking around like getting handshakes from the crowd. I'm like, all right, that's just my boys are crying.
Yeah, no. So I definitely have one of those on the. But what's interesting about this child last year, he for the first month of training and practice in the first game, he cried every practice and he cried every game. He wanted no part of it. And all of a sudden, something
he matured into
him.
it. Boom.
He matured into it.
Love it.
And he instantly became the best player on the team. And now
kind of got it figured out, thought about it. Now he's all organized.
And now he's coming to practice with so much confidence, and he's already hitting the ball with the instep shot. I'm like, okay, this is not normal. So yeah, I got to figure out a way now to rein him in. So he's not putting up 4 or 5 goals a game, right?
It's simple. He becomes the assist king. It's going to be good for him. And his goal is to basically get as close to the goal as possible and feed the ball right in front of the line.
To somebody else, exactly.
It's the most beautiful thing for him too, because professionally he'll pay off. Unlike you selfish, back then.
I was this Cristiano Ronaldo before Cristiano Ronaldo. That is true.
I just remember, like, I would have a great setup, like open net, and you'd hit it in, and you would go celebrating as if it was all you. And I'm looking at you like, you selfish. I'm the one that gave you the whole thing. Now, you did score a ton on your own without my help, and I cleaned up the trash. But when I would clean up the trash, I would never go like, like some huge dance. I'd be like, yeah, that was yours.
Yeah, I was a little bit bombastic.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Back then, I was perfectly happy to participate.
Oh yeah. And it's funny.
We'd be losing like 5-0, and you'd score and be like a celebration.
Oh yeah. It would be. I was bound for the NFL. That's how they do it, right? They celebrate even when they're down 30.
So. I remember you peed on a corner flag, I think, at one point.
That I did. I did the dog pee. Yeah. That got me a yellow card, most definitely. Yeah, you had to get creative. The team wasn't that great, so we got to have fun.
No, fair enough. I remember we had a few tournaments that were in the bag that we just got lazy the last game. We're like, we were up late last night. Like 12.
Yeah, exactly. 12, 13-year-olds. Terrible. Good job, parents.
Yeah. Blame the parents.
Yeah, they're an easy target. We'll blame them. But we had some fun times, and now we're doing it for our kids, which is great and terrible at the same time. But what are you gonna do?
I'm trying to keep the same, sense of humor. Like Rick, for example. You could see that there was suffering going on, but he kind of kept a sense of humor to it, and like, okay, just maintain your composure, and then you can break down when we're all adults, and then we all understand, which I give Rick a lot of credit for. Didn't complain a lot in the middle of it. So yeah, trying to like remember, it's just a short period of your life. Keep your, together, and maintain your composure, because they tend to remember it when you go off the rails.
One thing that's very difficult in this time frame, right? Because I think what our parents could get away with a little more was being a little bit more, not ruthless with us, more.
Unwoke.
Yeah, unwoke and a little more edgy, right? Where now you really have to.
I misunderstood. Okay. In that regard,
now you really have to watch the lines that you cross when it comes to a certain player or. Things are very, very different. No, you're right. It's woke is the right word, but my dad would give us a couple tongue lashings here and there, and we'd kind of just laugh it off and move on, and that's how it went. You'd hear me cussing back at him, but now, could you imagine that happening on the field with the kids that you have and the parents? I'd be like, oh my gosh, you do that one time, say goodbye. So. It's
luckily, I think our generation is coming back around to those values, knowing that it's not what you say, it's what you do, and I think we just got done with this period of what you say is wrong, and we're we're jumping to judging, but we haven't looked at any kind of history or track record, you know. And I'm not saying you can always just flippantly say whatever you want, but there's a part and parcel to it. Like if the kids are acting like little, you know, heathens,
Yes,
you know,
good.
then I actually put my trust in the coach to take it to the notch he needs to take it to without abuse. You know, there's obviously we're not talking about like beating their asses like as
Yeah,
I
right.
envision sometimes, but we kind of put that faith in the institutions, right? And to some degree, but yeah, to your point, all it takes is one Karen or whatever is a prevalent.
What's the male version? Yeah, a rich or
Yeah, that's exactly. What do you find? What is that person's name? So yeah, but then there's also a sense of humor side to it. I found, which is could be even far more powerful, which is trying to collectively get the tribe, everybody around you to hate on that kid or to project that strength on their own. So I think that's like the modern political stance or thesis, right? Is like you know show your disdain through very clever and using satire but carefully constructed criticism, so that way they learn it not from their adversaries but from their family. And so I at least realize that with kids it's kind of the same thing with employees at work, is that you can't really put them down publicly, right? You have to
that's right.
just charge them up publicly, or the rest of them that are doing well publicly, and then privately offer them the opportunity to join in the betterments when they're doing a good job. But quite frankly, what I realize is it also depends, to your point, around all of their collective maturities, because some of them are fantastic and you're like having conversations about the news, and I'm like, dang, Walter, I got to get back to coaching like your little brothers and sisters here right now. But that was a good conversation about the president. Like, let's go back to soccer. And then I talked to the other one's like, trying to get their attention like an idiot, so
Yep.
like a jester.
Yep, that's exactly how it is. And it's amazing how in kids you see the differential of that maturity level. It's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the same age.
You ever like look at the kids and then look at the parents and then look at the kids, then look at the
watching Darwinism at play, like, I can see what happened here. Yeah,
sometimes the apple just falls straight down and grows another tree.
No, it's still tied. The vine just stayed
it doesn't even
to the
roll.
tree.
It just lands.
Lands,
like,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that we definitely have seen a lot of that. You are correct. So all right, well, we'll kind of jump into some other things here. It's actually been a pretty, since the football season ended, pretty crazy last 2 weeks in the NFL. I mean, it's interesting. Like sports kind of went by the wayside because baseball had its terrible 2 weeks of infighting with the owners and the labor, labor
Did the
agreement.
season
CBA.
get shortened by 2 weeks? Am I getting this wrong? Or are you doing football first? Sorry.
Well, no, I'm kind of comparing like how we had like a kind of a delay in sports, but all of a sudden we had this implosion of sports because baseball is back and football had a wild last 2 weeks of free agency. I mean, you've seen big names change teams. You've seen players sign these contracts, which we'll get into. But yeah, baseball, kind of took like a weird little hiatus because the spring training was already supposed to start at the end of February. We're supposed to be in the middle of spring training right now, right?
Okay.
The season's
that's right.
supposed to start in 2 weeks. So all of a sudden, spring training is all that's happening. If spring training is 2 weeks shorter, they're going to have a full 162.
Perfect. And I wish it would bring that down a notch, but whatever. Perfect. Good. Because, get right into it. You guys are mad at each other. Prove it.
Exactly. So, yeah, I agree with you. Baseball 162 is too long.
1, 2, 3-year contracts. If I was king, I would just say that and I'll just go away. I'd be like, that's it. Baseball, 1, 2, 3-year contracts. Actually, football, I'd probably be just as ridiculous, but whatever. Because I just want to see those animal instincts come out every single season, fighting for their careers.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely true. So, the big news today, or actually yesterday, was the Dodgers signing Freddie Freeman. I mean, that's a monster deal.
6 years, or I don't even remember. I know it was
6 years.
6 years. So he's gonna be 40 by the time he's done, or close to it.
39. That's right. So he's 33 right now.
So he's gonna be our age.
He's gonna be our age. He's a He's a finely tuned athlete though, so you
Yeah,
can't.
that's true. That's
You know,
true.
he's doing his as
He
long
was
as
an
he keeps in
animal this
shape.
past season. I mean, just an
He,
animal. He ate up
well,
everything.
well, he's been a great player. Like that. That can't be
True.
denied. He's been a great player his entire career.
True.
You got to take it. You got to give him kudos because he stuck with his one team from draft all the way till now. Like the great, good for him. And he ended up winning a title for that team, and that's great. You know what's interesting? The Braves. You wouldn't think the Braves are like a really MLB like stalwart, but they really are. They've won a championship in every single generation. You think about it, that's pretty impressive. You
I
know,
like the way
like
you worded that. You didn't say every decade like Yankees try to always claim, but yeah, no, that's a great point, especially our age because we remember the early '90s as they were just speeding through pitching and yeah, and what's nice too is that they're kind of unique in the story that Green Bay has a very unique ownership story, but at least Atlanta is funded by a huge media mogul, so they also kind of have like a stock ownership process around success. And so while while I like private ownership is just fine, and they obviously are incentivized to have the teams win. Atlanta, to your point, not only gets to lean on its history of success, its super successful farm system, very well capitalized ownership level, but they also get to make changes kind of a little bit differently than like a team that might be too centrally organized that as long as their P&L kind of works, the rest of it isn't too much of a big deal. They're building stadiums as relatively recently, but yeah, no, I was thrilled to have the National League for sure win, and to your point, I give Freeman a ton of credit, especially because he's local too, right? So he's kind of coming home, or maybe he has friends here. Maybe
oh
Sean
yeah, he's
Graham's
an Orange
dad is
County
still a
kid.
buddy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I give him a lot of credit, and I hope that he keeps that same animal instinct. Like I don't want him to like move into that. Like okay, I'm the veteran on the team now. Like no, you're with a team that's also made up of 20+% champions, right? Because not all, some of them have moved on. Obviously, we could probably get to that, but I still want him to be like, come right out, lead off. Not lead off because we got plenty of room for that, but I'd like him to still be that animal that he was just eating up in the strike zone like for the last 2+ years. I mean, his entire career for sure, but 2+ years just felt like you couldn't pitch to him.
Yeah. He chewed up the Dodgers pitching. It was embarrassing
And you
during
can
the
see it in
NLCS.
his face too, and that's what I love about it. He's like invested in every single at bat. I mean, there's like it's like to me, it's like Mookie. It's like if you could just have Mookie and him, throughout the lineup, like nobody wants to throw them. They all want a day off if you got
Well,
to
I
put
mean,
them.
look, Mookie, Trey Turner, Freeman, and Bellinger. I mean, that's pretty hardcore 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. I mean, that
Is
is
Belly
pretty.
going to be DH, or are we going to, how do we
I
work
have
that?
I have no idea how they're
Two
gonna do
first
that yet.
basemen now, right? Or I guess you throw
Yeah,
Belly in outfield or whatever.
outfield. Yeah, he'll work in the outfield. That's fine. So yeah, no, Freeman's strictly first baseman, so he'll just be locked into that position. But it's very interesting that the Dodgers are able to still continue to do this. And I think
I know.
Freeman will bring that energy, bring that fire because he's a hometown kid. He's right here in Orange County, just down the 5 freeway. I think this being his Dodgers being his hometown childhood favorite team, that's like everybody's dream, right? To bring a championship to the team that you grew up loving.
It might just be what you need for a team that comes with some we're already good enough kind of baggage. Like, you want everybody to forget everything and, just play to win, right? And I know they already have that. I don't need to like bring that up, but to your point, yeah, because now he kind of wants another title. And I hope they walked away from last season knowing that they freaking stunk it up, and get this thing kind of change out a little bit, get some different blood in there, hometown blood, and charge that thing up because you get that chemistry run. Whoo, it's hard to beat chemistry. It's hard to beat a team that's having fun even when they're losing. And you're like, why are they having so much fun over there? It's so hard beating them, and they're like licking their lips and stuff. And you're like, oh shit, they can come back any moment.
And us being fans of the Dodgers, we saw down years in the 90s. If you wouldn't even call them down years, they were still obviously they always competed and they always competed. They always played. But the McCourt years were kind of down years. But this recent ownership group has just brought winning. Winning is part of the culture here in Dodger land, and it's great because they're always going to be giving us a chance for a championship. And that's all you want, really. Like, you don't want to go into the season, we have no shot, right? We're going into every season thinking we have a shot to, our team has a shot to win this year. And that's great. It's a good feeling to have that. So, good job to this ownership group to continuing to spend money, to make moves, and try to always revamp the team.
I think my only criticism to the management is that they need to make the games more accessible to everybody. It's time to cut these BS contracts off with whatever platforms. Get it out there. Like, the product itself, stop trying to monetize the TV rights. Like, enough is enough. And I get that everything will come down to like a bottom line, but there's like a public benefit to this. And I hate to even, I like my liberal side, but stop making it hard to watch Dodger games. And I would even say stop making it hard to even go to Dodger games, but I know that that's probably like too far, so I'll let capitalism kind of work itself out with the seats and all. But there's so many empty seats all the time. I'm like, you guys can't solve that by giving them all to elementary schools, or figure out like a ratio where
boys and kids, girls clubs, and
like the stands always kind of look filled, where we have like, the dog days of summer, and I don't, I'm not blaming them, but like you have sections that are empty. It's like you can't line that up for like all. I mean, whatever. I guess there's maybe a reason for it, but to the very least, make it accessible to be able to be watched though from all devices, all platforms, very easily. Even if there's like a delay or commercials in order to offset it, and that's kind of like the last bastion of hope that I have for baseball is like you better become a little more egalitarian with everybody, because if you don't, you're going to have too many generations lined up. Like ask a Gen Xer, and then ask a millennial, and then ask a Zennial or a Z about baseball, and watch the conversation drop off a cliff when you go that way. So you want to keep doing this, you better be careful, because you're going to get exactly what you asked for, which is exclusivity.
Yeah. Your fan base is dying off. You're right. The fan base is dying off because it's a very, very old fan base who love baseball. Our generation loves it and admires it, and then the generation after this is like admires it, and the generation that's like, not really for me. So you're right. It's very trending in the wrong direction. But
football
kind of
though.
Football's hot and heavy. But kind of piggybacking what you're saying with monetizing TV rights and stuff, tying it back to Atlanta, they were kind of the first to do that, right? You talk about that media mogul owner. They were the first team to have their own TV network, TBS. I mean, that wasn't regular TV. That was on cable TV. And it was kind of interesting that they were like the pioneers when it came to TV rights. So, all these weird little tie-ins to that. But, yeah, very interesting. I do hope that the Dodgers find a way to get, and they do have a big stadium. I mean, they have one of the larger capacity stadiums around of all major league. They're third oldest stadium in the league, but they can fit up to 70,000 people. That's a lot. And where most stadiums are rebuilt now, max of 50,000. So,
is that what they're at with 70 after all the changes and renovations that have gone on throughout the years? I know they got closer to the plate, which I like those seats. So are we at 70?
It was like at 68,000, but I think they can cram in 70 when they want to, right? I mean, for like playoff games. I know they
do stand up only too now.
Yes. So they can really, really pack it in there, which is not really. What did Boston have when you were there? How many can you fit in?
Oh my gosh, 38 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Half that number. So it's very, very, so you see the empty seats, but in reality, compared to other teams, their volume of fan base is just off the charts. And it's only because their stadium's so big. So, lucky them. But going now with the Dodgers and all this great news, and we'll jump into more crazy, signing news with the NFL. I mean, now that baseball's back, the NFL was like, all right, well, we need to make more headlines. And just today, me being a Packer fan, our number one receiver, Devontae Adams, signed a 6-year deal with the Raiders. It is the most lucrative deal in NFL history for a wide receiver.
And is it? Oh, good for him.
Oh, yeah. It is definitely.
Adams been with Green Bay for a while, if I remember right, 5 years at least, or where?
Yeah, he's been with he's been with Green Bay his entire career. So him leaving is a big deal. The Packers tried to get him on what they call the not arbitration list. They tried to franchise tag him. Yes, they tried to franchise tag him, which would have paid him out $20+ million a year. for this
I don't
one
understand
season.
how that works. Do you want to go into it or just leave it for another day?
Yeah. Basically, what each team's allowed to franchise tag 5 players on their team that are coming up to contract negotiations.
I didn't know that.
If a team can't come to a contract negotiation with a star player or with an elite player, right, a player who makes the Pro Bowl, a player who makes the All NFL team, then they can franchise tag them. But that franchise tag them forces them to pay the player the highest level salary for that position, for that player, for that one season.
Oh,
So
the
that's
the highest in the league. So a wide receiver would get the highest in the league elsewhere.
Yes, he would have been. He would have been whatever the highest paid receiver's making on another team.
Okay, so then taking him as the most lucrative deal actually interrupts other franchisee strategies, because now if another opponent wants to franchise one of their wide receivers in a contract year, you've raised the cost on them. Is that accurate to say or no?
That's definitely accurate. Yeah, you've raised that cost, and the most famous franchise tag situation was Kirk Cousins. So Kirk Cousins started his career off at Washington. Washington did not. They were kind of winning with him, and they were doing well, but they didn't want to sign him to a long-term deal. So all he did instead is he played 3 years of a franchise tag with Washington. He made $25 million a year.
Name is Brady or whomever, Peyton.
Yeah, just paying, being a mid-range 6 wins a year quarterback. I mean, this guy was making crazy money. So he made basically $75 million off the Washington Redskins when they were Washington. Now they're the Commanders. But after that happened,
I knew what you were talking about, by the way.
Yeah.
I was like, they're all socialists there.
After that happened, when he signed with the Vikings, they were forced to sign him at this Luke monster deal for 4 years.
Because he wouldn't go down.
Yeah, because he was at $100 million contract, $120 million contract. So he made out like a bandit. And so Kirk Cousins, a mid-range, not even mid-range, I would say he's just below average quarterback. He's made basically $220 million off the NFL, off of this franchise tag situation. So kudos to him. That's why I thought Adams would do the same thing and accept the franchise tag that the Packers put on him, because
so they still have to accept it. Okay.
Yes, they still have to accept it. So
did he get more than the prevalent one? You said that he did. So it worked.
Yep. So he they put.
Now, he probably knows that number before he makes the decision. So that way
well,
it's not like a gamble.
So the way this situation worked is they put the franchise tag on him Monday. He told the Packers yesterday, "I'm not playing for the franchise tag." Because he doesn't want the 1 year situation. He doesn't want to gamble on himself. He wants the long-term situation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So the player at that point has the option. So what did the Packers do today? They traded him. So they traded him to the Raiders based off of the assumption the Raiders now paid him 5 years, $141 million. So that's the highest. Yeah.
And in turn, you just raised the franchise tag for wide receiver across the league.
Wide receiver. Exactly. Yep. They raised the value. So, good for him. And what's interesting about this situation is Derek Carr was his college teammate, his college quarterback. So they do have history together. So yeah, they played together for 3 years in college.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they were a great combo, and they were breaking records while they were in college at their university. So
that might be just what the perennial losers need.
The problem is in my opinion, is going to the AFC West. The AFC West is going to be the hardest division in football. You have the Chiefs, who are great with Patrick Mahomes and their team. You have the Broncos, who just got Russell Wilson a week last week.
They're on the upswing.
Yep, they're on the upswing. So their defense is great. They got Russell Wilson. The Chargers are on the upswing. A lot of people, they don't want to. Yeah, Justin Herbert is incredible. He is an incredible quarterback. I mean,
I thought it was pronounced Air Bear. Shoot.
That's the French, French enunciation. But yeah, Justin Herbert is the real deal.
Speaking of French, did you hear that French guy Smollett was walked out recently?
Hey, he actually, he got sentenced, but now he's out of jail already. What's going on here?
I don't understand it.
Yeah, whatever. I can't give this guy any more credence. I follow him, I laugh, and I just move on. Elitists always get a little bit bumped, right? That's why.
What do you think? The Raiders still come in last?
I don't think they come in last. It's going to be a very, very, very difficult division. I
It
mean,
was such a
because
weird game that they were playing against I think the Chargers, right? Like the last game of the season or playoff or whatever it was, where they could tie it and they could both go and like, yeah. Oh, that was
you remember that? That's right. Yeah, there was that
yeah.
situation where if the Raiders would have let a tie happen with the Chargers, it would have kicked the Steelers out of the playoffs and put both of them in. Yeah. So
But
you
instead they won and then they only lost.
Yeah, the Chargers are gonna really
They lose when they win.
Yeah. Well, but the Raiders played a pretty good game in that playoff game against the Bengals, the team that showed up to the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a very interesting division because you just don't know what's going to happen there. I'm very curious to see what shakes out there. And the Broncos are going to be better by just the addition of Russell Wilson. It's going to happen. He's a great player, great quarterback. AFC West is going to be very tough. I think the winning team out of that division might have 9 wins because all they're going to do is cannibalize each other. It's going to be win the home game, lose the away game, right? So they're going to cannibalize each other, and what's going to separate them is the games outside of the difference. Outside of the division. So
go beat up on the NFC like usual.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but the NFC, they keep winning the Super Bowls. The AFC is extremely deep. I mean, you look at all the quarterbacks.
But you're right to your point. AFC eats itself up on the playoff structure, so you'll never see them. And something got to be hit with a college style football or something a little different than what the ground and pound game or some traditional game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this last year playoffs with Rams winning the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they had an easy path to Super Bowl because they had to go through Tom Brady, but that was really the only difficult game that they had to get through, right? I mean, after that, they had to beat the Niners at home again, which was a good game.
You got all your uplift.
Yeah, so it's not really it wasn't murderer's row like it was.
So is Brady coming back, or is he franchised, or what's the truth with this guy?
There it is again. More news. Brady is back. Brady is unretired. I thought
he was moving into crypto and stuff, and like
when he here's the thing with Brady. He dropped all the breadcrumbs, right? And he did it a month after he retired. He had this interview with Jim Gray, and I watched this interview. And in this interview, Jim Gray directly asked him, "Are you done playing this game? Are you done?" And he's like, "Well, anything can happen." And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, "Dude, this guy's coming back. Like, he's not. If you're completely done with something or are done, you say, no, I am finished. I'm through. That's
I just hope he's not working on page 9 of the record book."
What's funny to me is like I remember an interview like 4 or 5 years ago, even maybe 6 years ago. He talked about always playing till he was 45 years old. It's kind of like a goal that him and Alex Guerrero, his trainer that he started TB12 with, they always had a number 45, and that number kept getting thrown out there all the time. They even brought it up in the Brady documentary that was on ESPN Plus about a month and a half ago. He always said 45 was his number. He's 44 right now. That makes sense. If I come back one more season, I'll turn 45, then I can call it quits. And honestly, why would you call it quits when he had the season he had? I mean, he was a top 5 quarterback in the league.
All those legend stories have you going out almost at the top instead of on a stretcher. So I'm going to say fine, but if you're going to make the refs have to bend and you're going to put all this pressure on your offensive line if they suck, and you end up going out on a stretcher as your last game and you ruin that other guy that bought your last TD football, then I'm going to say shame on you. Shame on you, you half a billionaire. Do whatever you want. Like, go and contribute back to society in a different way. Now, he can do whatever he wants, obviously, but don't go out on a stretcher. That's the risk. You're interrupting the legend story. Let the story like have a nice ending at your design. But to your point, we all have there's life goal. So it's fine. But
and to your point, you're right. The way he went out, barely losing to the Rams, basically almost willing his team back to victory in that game.
I actually thought they were going to come back and win. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, it was shocking that he was doing that, So it's very, very interesting to see. What I don't like is, you brought the offensive line. Their offensive line stud, he retired. So this guy was only 6 years in the league, and he retired right at the age of 30. So that they lost their best offensive lineman. They're gonna have to revamp that, and Brady's coming back to that. I honestly thought if Brady was coming back, he was gonna demand a trade to the 49ers. That's what I thought.
Oh.
And
Jeez, because that's
you
where
know,
he's from too, right? They're
that's where
originally
he's
from there.
from. Exactly. Yeah, he's from Northern California, and that team is set up like as you saw, they're a quarterback away from getting to the Super Bowl. You know, so if you put in Tom Brady in place of Jimmy G, do the Rams win that game? I don't think so. I think the Niners do win that game. So that's what I thought he was going to do. There is still potential for him to do that, but he says he's coming back to the Bucks, so that's what he's doing. You know, the other big news: Aaron Rodgers is sticking with the Packers. Everybody thought he was going to be on the move. There was Tennessee Titans were on the table. The Colts were on the table. Seattle Seahawks and Denver Broncos were on the table, but Packers locked him up to be the highest paid quarterback in history, $200 million over 4 years, $50 million a year. That is
4 more years.
Yes.
Okay. Oh.
Do I think he's going to play 4 years? I do not. He's 39 years old. I think he's going to play 2 of the 4. He'll still collect $100 million, but he'll probably get out at 41 or so. I think if he wins next year or the year after, he's done. And because the Packers are also built to win. That game they lost, the playoff game was just ridiculous to the Niners. I don't know how they did that, but that team is still built to win, and he's this is the last hurrah for him. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, just a lot of move. And then Allen Robinson, another big time elite wide receiver. He signed with who did he sign with today? The Rams. So he signed with the Rams. So the Rams now have Cooper Kupp, OBJ, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods. Like, what is going on here? They have 5. Matt Stafford and Allen Robinson are probably right now kissing each other, and kissing everyone in their families because they're just going to go. They're going to be a pass happy team. And they're going to be slinging that ball all the way around. It's going to look fun. It's going to look like a passing league.
And they can run, so that's okay too.
Yeah. They do commit to the run, which is part of the reason they won that Super Bowl, right? It didn't look like they were doing much. But
wore them down finally.
They wore down the Bengals. That's right. So that team's still built to do well too. It's going to be.
I was kind of disappointed in the championship gear. I actually ended up not even pulling the trigger. I wanted to give Aaron Donald some representation, but I didn't like the flare, yellow colors and stuff. Like I couldn't end up doing it. I kind of wanted just like an all white. Like I love the San Francisco Niner jerseys, especially like home or away, actually, just simple red and white with a stripe.
Shoulders.
That's what I wanted, like some kind of blue, but they wouldn't put the blue with the patch or anything like that. So I'm stuck unless I got to do it myself or whatever. So I ended up not even getting anything.
Oh no. So yeah, it's been a crazy week in the NFL, crazy week in baseball. I'm happy that it's back. But let's we got 15 minutes here. I kind of want you to break down what's been going on. We have so many geopolitical things going on in the world that are kind of altering markets and stocks and crypto and everything out there. So kind of give us the lay of the land right now on what's going on, because I know there's people out there who are very interested.
I don't know what's going on either. If you were to tell me back in college that the Fed chairman was going to announce 6 rate hikes essentially starting today, I probably would have said the market would react. It reacted well, is what I meant. I figured there'd be some bad news. So to say that there's that much priced into the market just seems kind of unusual to me. So I'm zoomed out right here. This is the weekly chart of the S&P 500. I try to put it in perspective.
Yep.
A lot of great movements, since 2018, 19, 17, 16. Keep going back, look at this to 2000.
Oh, yeah.
It's just been nothing but gains if you've been in the market. And I know not everybody does, like the ETFs or whatever, but incredible.
That's where a lot of my stuff is. I go with the tried and true.
Tried and true has been, my go-to for well over 10 years. I basically had 3 ETFs, not financial advice for sure, but just the S&P 500, a small mid cap, and then an international. Vanguard funds usually keep the cost as low as possible. You'll beat 9 out of 10 financial advisors. But so I've started to adjust a little bit because I'm worried about the last several years of easy money having an impact on the lower tail of the general market. So some companies are going to have to demonstrate earnings power. And as interest rates go up, we know that the companies that are zombies or they hadn't established a good product are going to have trouble with those earnings. So watch earnings, which I do. I watch credit markets extremely closely. But my general thesis is it's America. I would not bet against America. If we've priced in 6 rate hikes, which take us to like 1.75 in a couple years, maybe they do a 50 bump, a couple times along the way. It seems impressive. My personal opinion is that there's no way they're going to stick to that schedule because the cost of their debt will rise
Right.
substantially, and then that will eat into growth. And so there's a lot of indicators kind of picking apart the flattening of the yield curve. So that's something to like be very mindful of because that tends to signal recession. So if I were to guess, and recessions aren't terrible. I think we've already hiccuped down 10%. It wouldn't be surprising to me to go another 10, especially in an elongated, global kind of situation that we're seeing on the back end of a pandemic. That these are like back-to-back struggles.
Right.
I'm looking at gold right now, so I don't always like gold, but kind of did what it should have done, in my opinion. People kind of priced in inflation and gold kind of pumped finally, but it never
So
really did like what it should do. So I know a lot of experts are saying like 2,500, 3,000 is probably within the books in the next year or two, and that's to ward off inflation. But it is kind of a barbaric relic, to Warren Buffett's point. So I just watch it just to see kind of what a $10 trillion market kind of does. And then sorry to cut you off, but going right to, Bitcoin, we talked like when the podcast first started, we were basically just doing this huge slope down. So I drew this green line, just kind of waiting for the green lines to connect, because usually when they eventually connect, the ball kind of heats up and it usually goes up or down. And it kind of, as predicted, it went up, and then it's been ping ponging kind of flat. I mean, it's been an incredible story of like very boring, traders are killing themselves. They hate this environment. Very challenging to trade on, which is great for it. So it can mean a bunch of things. It can mean for me that money's kind of consolidating, and then when that happens, there's always a lot of residual consolidation that will never leave the market, and so what that means, it could produce a new floor. Which I'd love to see if I kind of like drill into like the monthly chart, and we're on like the 30 minutes, so I'll always move it back to the 4 hour just to make it somewhat relevant. But we're seeing some interesting gyrations. This is a decent spread, right? So we're at 45,000 at the top, maybe 36, call it 35 at the bottom. That's a $10,000 range. That's like 20-ish, 30% of this range, that we've been doing for like a month or two. So what does that? Yeah, what does that mean? Nothing in the short term. Don't do anything about it. Continue your strategy. But I will definitely say that the more I look into, the Bitcoin narrative, just finished the Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean Almus. He's fantastic, PhD in economics. Basically relates the entire history of the planet to unsound money and the impact that it has on the eventual destination of war. And makes a lot of sound arguments going from Rome all the way up till now, kind of the same sequence of events that take you to this place: debase state currency, the ability to not tax enough, recession, politicians, war. So moving to the Bitcoin Standard as a treasury strategy for companies, central banks, personal finance, I think is becoming more and more compelling. And what's happening in Central Eastern Europe is creating a use case for that the Bitcoiner community, I don't want to say we, but the Bitcoin community probably couldn't have anticipated to see that use case play out for like many years, because there's other use cases that seem more interesting. I think the most prevalent one is watching the U.S. control the dollar and the impact of its foreign affairs. And so other countries are basically like, okay, so the U.S. froze Russia, right? And Russia had like 864 billion to work with, essentially, and it's all bucketed out, but a decent sized bucket of that is in U.S. Treasury. So when they get sanctioned or when they get kind of frozen on SWIFT, their ability to maneuver as a country, it becomes harder on them, right? And the citizenry. Right. And so there's other countries, China, Russia, stands, are kind of watching that. Even smaller countries that probably shouldn't put their politicians in charge of their money supply, which is the best base case in my opinion. Other countries are watching that playbook, and I think they're going to say, two things. One, we don't want to be, completely under the thumb of the U.S. We still want to keep dollars because it's still the best of all the worst, just like democracy is, or capitalism is, I should say. And then secondly, you might as well get some in case as a hedge against its success. So if there's these domino countries that start to fall, and we saw El Salvador last year, and this year there's already cities that are electing it, U.S. cities also, then it would stand to argue that if this thing even takes off as a treasury strategy or a central bank strategy to hedge your own money supply, right? Back it up with Bitcoin, un, its ability to be governed by people is bar none the hardest asset on the planet. Then game theory will say you still have to buy it even if you don't want it. So, didn't mean to make it too much about Bitcoin right now, but kind of like the perspective of it.
Yeah,
There's
no, it's
Bitcoin,
the big dog. No, it's good
there's everything
to,
else.
yeah,
It's the
exactly.
mothership. And when the mothership does well, it kind of bleeds into these other cryptos, other digital assets that I have on my screen as you kind of walk your way down from Ethereum down to Luna, and there's a few in betweens that are also good. I'd say away from 99% of them. But when the mothership does well, it also creates kind of a trail of innovation, a wake of other opportunities that get people thinking about blockchain. Now, they're two different things. There's no governing council. It's uncorruptible is Bitcoin. And then there's everything else. Everything else is, to me, is a technology company. It's basically enterprise software. So just value them like you would a technology company. They're going to struggle with expensive debt. They're going to struggle with a product that doesn't capitalize. That was my big wake up call around Christmas time. But looking at Bitcoin as a hegemony, as kind of like a counterbalance to unsound money.
Yeah.
Inflation might be an argument, but I don't know if I want to use Bitcoin to like counter inflation. But certainly, it's compelling to think about in 100 years, if everything is backed by something and it can't be gold, then you tell me what it should be, and I'll tell you that it should be Bitcoin.
It should be, yeah, digital assets. That's right. No,
So yeah, that's
nice.
it. I don't know what else to say. Yeah,
beautiful breakdown. No, that's good. That's good. Love it. I'm sure that people will appreciate that. So
yeah, my pleasure. I
oh, I think Brandon dropped off the meeting there real quick, but as you can see, he really laid out why it's still got its support, and there he is.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Having its base support out there and having its people still have, during all this tumultuous time, there's still a lot of backing towards it. So I think that should give the people a lot of security to understand that this isn't something that's unrealistic or you've already seen a lot more support from more even credible people out there. So continue to monitor and play it safe. We're not financial advisors, and we don't do that here. But
and I would even argue just take it a little bit seriously. You don't go all in on anything, But 1 to 3% increases your Sharpe ratio. There's good stuff that's coming of it that actually lowers the volatility of your portfolio, safeguards against several things that you can't safeguard against. So it's compelling, and just simple kind of numbers that I like to watch as you look at the world's millionaires and billionaires invest in this thing. Owning 0.24 Bitcoin will put you in the 1% club in the future because of the way that it's kind of distributed right now. It's an open ledger, so you can see who owns it. And so I would argue if people can handle that, then great. If they can't handle that, then I would say, all right, let's take it down. If you need to be in the 10% club, which will still get you a lot of purchasing power of the future, then put $180 in. Like be part of that 0.01, and that will do it. That'll do it too. So that'll get you kind of in the, you'll have options
in the game, right? Get in the game.
In the game, yeah. Have some skin in the game is a good Talib, a good thought to that, and but yeah. So in any case, I'm excited because we're still watching. We're all right there, and that's the other part of this that's so exciting is I get to kind of catch the internet in its growth years before mom and dad or grandma and grandpa have even heard of it. Imagine not knowing what email is, and you're trying to talk about PCI-CP protocols and getting into immediate communications. I mean, people, you would be poo-pooed too back in 95, 96, 97, but by 99, people either became entrenched, or you saw this huge community of adopters that increasingly their lives were valued in such a better way. It's changed for the better. So I know that's what's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It could be 100 years. I hope not. It could be 5 to 10 years, which I think is probably about right. And I think year in, year out, I think we're going to see interesting conversations about it.
All right. Well, Good deal. Thank you for
Cheers,
that,
buddy.
sir.
Yeah, have a good happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you everyone for tuning into the show. Hope you enjoyed. Hope we got some good sports news and economic just updates, and enjoy and have a good week, and we'll see you again.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.